In 2014, a young couple, Leo and Sarah, bought their first high-tech baby monitor for their newborn, Toby. It featured a 4K camera, night vision, and a two-way intercom. The first few nights were peaceful, until Leo woke up at 3:13 a.m. to a sound that wasn't a cry. It was a rhythmic, wet clicking noise coming from the monitor speaker. Leo checked the video feed. The nursery was bathed in the eerie green glow of night vision. Toby was fast asleep, but the clicking continued. Leo adjusted the contrast on his phone and gasped. Behind the crib, in the corner where the shadows were thickest, there appeared to be a pair of long, spindly legs tucked behind the curtains. He rushed into the nursery, heart pounding. He ripped back the curtains, but there was nothing there. No legs, no clicking. Toby didn't even stir. Leo chalked it up to sleep deprivation and digital artifacts. But when he returned to bed and looked at the monitor again, the clicking started instantly. This time, a voice joined in. It was a distorted, gravelly whisper that sounded like two stones grinding together. "He has your eyes," the voice croaked through the speaker. Sarah woke up, hearing the chill in the room. They both stared at the screen. The figure was back, but now it was leaning over the crib, its face just inches from the baby's sleeping head. The entity had no eyes, only deep, hollow sockets, and a jaw that seemed unhinged, hanging too low. It didn't have skin. It looked like it was wrapped in grey, damp bandages. Sarah screamed and ran for the nursery. By the time she burst through the door and flipped the light switch, the room was empty. Toby was safe, but his blanket was gone. They stayed up all night, lights on, clutching Toby. The next morning, Leo checked the monitor's recording logs. He found hours of footage from the previous week. In every single video, the figure was there. It wasn't just standing in the corner. It had been crawling under the crib, sometimes brushing Toby's hair with clawed fingers. The most terrifying clip was from tonight's prior. Leo watched himself enter the room to check on Toby. In the video, as Leo leaned over the crib, the creature was pressed flat against the ceiling directly above his head, its long tongue inches from Leo's neck. Leo had never sensed it. He had been completely oblivious to the predator. They tried to unplug the monitor, but the screen stayed on. Even with the power cord pulled, the green night vision feed persisted. A message appeared on the display in jagged, digital text. "I am part of the signal now." The speakers began to emit a high-pitched frequency that made Sarah's ears bleed. They grabbed Toby and fled the house. They checked into a hotel, thinking they were safe. But as Sarah settled Toby into a travel cot, her phone buzzed. It was a notification from the baby monitor app. Movement detected in Zone 1. She opened the app. The camera was still showing their old nursery, but the room was filled with dozens of the grey, bandaged figures. They were all looking directly into the camera lens. Suddenly, the feed cut to black, then flickered back to life. It wasn't the nursery anymore. The camera was now showing the hotel room they were currently in. The angle was from the air conditioning vent. On the screen, Sarah saw herself holding Toby, and a grey hand reaching out from the vent. Leo smashed the phone, but the audio continued to play from the hotel's built-in radio. The wet clicking filled the room. "Distance is just a frequency," the gravelly voice whispered. Sarah looked at Toby and realized with a jolt of horror that his eyes had changed. They were no longer blue. They were hollow, black pits, just like the creatures. Toby began to make the clicking sound. It wasn't a baby's voice. It was the sound of grinding stones. He reached out with hands that seemed to be stretching, his fingers growing longer and thinner by the second. Leo and Sarah backed away, realizing the monitor hadn't been watching a monster, it had been broadcasting a transformation. The hotel lights flickered and died. In the darkness, the only thing visible was the glowing red REC light on the wall-mounted TV. The screen hummed to life, showing the room in night vision. On the screen, Leo and Sarah saw themselves being surrounded by a circle of the creatures, while the thing that was once Toby stood in the center. The entities didn't attack. They simply began to hum a low, vibrating tone. The walls of the hotel room started to dissolve into static, turning into millions of black and white flickering dots. Leo reached for Sarah, but his hand turned into digital noise before he could touch her. They were being pulled into the signal, bite by bite. The next morning, the hotel maid found the room empty. There were no bags, no clothes, and no people. The only thing left was a single baby monitor sitting in the center of the unmade bed. When the manager turned it on, the screen showed a static-filled image of a nursery, where 3 small figures stood frozen in a corner, forever trapped in the feed.